Hey, it's Sandy with Quilted Treasures and more. And I have all kinds of stuff in front of me here. And so I'm kind of like, oh my goodness, what do I do with all of this? I um I talked last week about doing the craft event and how it took a couple of days, and I had posted a couple of pictures of things that I did. I showed y'all this painting that I did, and that's on canvas. It's acrylics on canvas. And so I showed that off, and then I showed off the earrings that I did. And so we painted those. I actually painted both sides of this one. So, but I wanted to show y'all a few more things that I did that I was going to post last week, and then I thought, no, you know what? I'm just going to wait and show everything at once. And so I was like, okay, I'll show. Now I just realized I have nowhere else to put stuff, y'all. I have just crammed paint into my space here, and I literally am trying to figure out where to put this so that it doesn't crash. Nope, that's not gonna work. Okay. I feel like one of my coaches. Hold one moment, please. she she's so funny. Her name is Sarah, and Sarah, when she has a moment where she has to figure something out, she's like, hold one moment, please. Okay, so here's something else we did. This is a napkin, and I put it on a trivet, what you put pots on, and hot dishes and things like that. So this is actually a napkin. I'd never done anything, other than use a napkin to wipe my face, clean up spills. I'd never done anything with decorating with napkins, but this was pretty cool. I enjoyed this, so I'm like, "Ooh, neat. I may do some more of this." So we shall see. This was pretty interesting to learn how to do, and I'm not sure I would put a hot pot on top of uh, this one, but this is what I grabbed in order to use. They actually had a block of wood that they used, but I had grabbed this instead. So that's one other thing we did. Oh, stretch over and put it over there. We also did acrylics on acrylic acrylic paints on a this is actually a clipboard. And so we painted the clipboard. And so that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that one. We had all kinds of different sayings, and I went with take action. There was shine bright, and what was a couple of others that they had? Take action, shine bright. Um, wasn't be kind, be courageous. I don't think that was it. Maybe it was. So they had several different sayings, and so I chose this one, and that's how I decorated my clipboard. So that was one other thing that we did. We had like 12 projects all together. And so I don't have all 12 sitting here. Thank goodness, we'd be here half the night. But I did want to share a few. And then this is the other one. This one, and I can't show this underneath my above camera, but this one is actually this is a door hanger. Okay. Now, no, you're looking at that going, really? It's been shrunk down. And so it's like 12 inches tall. Yes, 12 inches tall. This is the one I painted last week. If you remember, I painted um, each little piece, I glued it together. And then this is actually a candlestick. And then I attached actually a dowel to the candlestick. And then this just slides over the dowel. It actually has you're supposed to make this pretty. I was supposed to put ribbon over this. I haven't done that yet. Uh, I was doing good to get the zip tie put on here. So, in order to get it together, so that way I could show y'all. So, it's just been one of those kind of doing 4 or 5 different things, and the zip tie was not high on the productivity list. So this is, what did we call this? A sign candlestick? I think that's what they called it in the workshop. And so this is pretty cool. The reason why you use a zip tie, and normally you'd have ribbon covering that zip tie, so it'd be like a ribbon that held it on, or it would look that way anyway. So you can actually change it out. So you would take this off, and then you could have another one. If you like the birdhouse theme, you could stick with birdhouses, and you could have one that is for Christmas, and one that maybe is blue and has snowflakes for the winter, and then one for spring and summer, and any of the special holidays like 4th of July. So I thought this was pretty cool. I liked this. This one was really neat. I got to decorate, paint, and do some weather look to the candlestick itself, and also to the wooden dowel that we used. And then, of course, paint the birdhouse and add a bow to it, and voila. So those were a few of the things that I did. Like I said, there were like 12 things. This was actually one of them. And so I'm going to show y'all this one tonight. This is a sunflower. And what all did they do to the sun? Oh, the main thing with the sunflower was stenciling. So that's the main point and purpose of me showing you this tonight. I'm sorry, I lost track for a moment there. I was still stuck on my birdhouse. Oh, okay. Water break. I thought I'd knocked my birdhouse over, but I didn't. Okay, good deal. All right, so I have my sunflower here, and tonight we're going to actually be using a stencil, and we're going to put a pattern to the center of our wonderful little sunflower here. All right, so I'm going to change the view here, and we are going to get started. I'm going to start with a yellow. I base coated it white. So next I'm going to do yellow, and I'm going to get the petals all covered in yellow, and then I'm going to do some shading with the petals. I cleaned up a ton of brushes, and so that's what I'm looking for, is the brush. This is the brush I'm looking for. Okay, so now all I'm going to do, I've got a center kind of designated here. And so I'm just going to start putting the yellow down on my petals. I forgot to start. Oh, come on. I haven't done any time-lapse videos. I love doing time-lapse videos for reels and things. And so I haven't done any time-lapse videos lately. And so I set this up to do a time lapse. And then I forgot to start it. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, they'll never know that they missed one petal. It'll just look like it, started real quickly. I'll put an effect at the front of it. We'll be the only ones who know. And I won't tell if you won't tell. Now, I do have the one or two friends that'll probably jump on the reel and go, ha ha, I remember when you missed the pedal. I love my friends. They keep me humble and put in my place. Well, I hope you've had a good week. My week has been um, getting a couple of door hangers done and finally got to bleach t-shirts last weekend and get orders finished for t-shirts and some tumblers. And so it was a good week just working on different things, getting some orders started and getting some orders finished. This weekend I did, if you missed it, I did um, a drop. Why in the world? All right, y'all, hang on just a second. I'll come back to the drop in just a minute. I've got like crumbs. I know it's not crumbs because I haven't eaten anything over my sunflower. But there's like, that's just weird. What is that? And I can't get it out. Is it in the brush? Oh, great. Do, 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 do. All right. Y'all look at the pretty sunflower just for a minute. I forgot to put water in my cup. I was trying to get all the technical issues fixed before I jumped on and forgot to put water in my water cup. Okay. All right, let's try this again. I'm gonna try rinsing that brush and see if there's something in this brush because that is just weird. It's like there's little, I don't know, it's almost like there's something in the paint, like grit or something. It's very, very strange. And I've tried wiping it off the brush because I thought, well, maybe it's on the brush, but I don't know what in the world is going on. I'm gonna go back over this one. That was just really, really bizarre. For the moment, it seems to be better. I hope so, because no, there it is again. What in the world? That's so strange. I don't, and what's really crazy is I don't see anything in the paint. Like when I put the paint, I'm looking at the paint before I dip the brush in it, and I don't see these little pieces that I'm getting. So I'm like, okay, is it in the brush? I mean, I've rinsed the brush. I don't know. We're going to continue on. Okay, so I was talking about the tumbler. That's the big thing for the weekend is that we have a drop weekend, and this weekend it is a tumbler. It is for all the book and coffee lovers out there. So if you have not seen that, you can scroll back up in the post and check out the tumbler drop for the weekend. It is discounted at $18 for, well, through midnight. And then tomorrow it will go up to its regular price of 20. And I'm trying to decide on a fall t-shirt because I really want to get a fall t-shirt drop scheduled in. And so I'm trying to find a good fall t-shirt. It's been crazy because I found a couple that I kind of like, but then I'm like, I don't know, I just haven't found the one that just pops or just, says, "Hey, I'm the one." It's kinda like when I picked this one, it says "Sweet, Sassy, and Southern." When I saw it, my first thought was, "Ooh, that is yep, mhm, I gotta have that one." So, then I was like, "Well, you know what? If all the colors and stuff really pop and stand out to me, then, hey, we'll put it out there as a t-shirt drop and see what happens." And I thank y'all for all your support in the t-shirt drops and the tumbler drops. Y'all are awesome. All right, I'm gonna do one more real quick second coat, and then I am going to do the shading part. And then once we do the shading part, I can get to the stencil part. So that's the part that I'm excited about. Because I've not really done stencils on any of the door hangers. I've done 3D pieces. I've done uh, designs like buffalo plaid. I've done polka dots. I've done. Oh, I did bubble wrap. I did do bubble wrap one time. I was not a big fan of the bubble wrap impression. And what I did with that is you take bubble wrap, you flip it, or you lay it down and you cover it with paint. Then you flip it over on your door hanger and you press it down real good and rub all over it. And then you pick the bubble wrap up and it puts a bubble design on your door hanger or whatever you're working on. And I don't know, I- maybe if I had, I think part of my deal was that the sheet of bubble wrap that I had was not the full size of the door hanger. And so I think that was part of the problem is that I was fighting with trying to overlap the pattern, which didn't turn out too bad, but I was like, y'all, I still have little pieces of paint or something. I don't know what is in the paint. That's just not good. And what's crazy is I still don't see any in the, I don't know, maybe it's the brush. I'm going to change brushes. I'm not going to, I was going to use this brush for the shading and all that, but I think I'm going to change brushes because I don't know what it is, but it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I'm really tired of getting little things out of my paint. So we're just going to change brushes and alleviate the problem. All right, we're almost back around, and then I will start shading my sunflower leaves. I actually heard somebody say they had used the same pattern as a poinsettia for Christmas. I was like, huh, that's interesting. I guess I would have to see it. I was having trouble envisioning that for some reason. Okay, so I'm going to try this brush. I'm going to get my darker color. I'm going to put just a little more of my yellow so that way I'll have my base color that I can. It would have been much better if I could have kept the same brush, but I'm not going to fight with. Now if I find out it wasn't the brush, I'm will be like, great. All right, so I'm just going to get some of the paint in the brush. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put just the corner of my brush into the darker. And I'm going to just blend it and bring it down toward the center. Now on this side, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to take it all the way. I'm going to stop it as I get right here at this point. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because I'm going to let my petals overlap. And so I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. So I'm going to blend that just a little more. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to come with this one. Yep, I didn't put enough of the darker color on there. I'm going to bring it all the way to the petal, to the center of the flower. And so they're going to look like they overlap each other. I'm going to do one more and then I can pick it up and show you what I'm talking about. So just a little bit more of the shading, and then I'll show y'all how I'm making them overlap, because I want to make sure you can see it. Okay, so let me see if I can pick it up here real quick. So here I've got a short run and then a long run. So if you notice here, the petal overlaps this petal because there's a long run here and a short run here. So this petal looks like it's tucked behind that petal. So that's what I'm doing. I am just going around and making short and long shading on the sides of the petals, so that way it looks like they overlap. And all I'm doing, I keep going over it, and what it does is it blends it in, so it softens the look between the yellow and the darker. This is an ochre color. So that's all I'm doing. I am simply getting a little bit of the darker color on one tip of the brush. And simply bringing the two colors, pulling the two colors around, and then just going back and forth to soften them up and blend them together. And like I said, I'm doing a short side because what I want to do is let the petals overlap each other. And so there's one in the front and then one in the back. And so that's all I'm doing is I'm going around. I'm doing a long side and a short side and just making my way around my sunflower. And just dipping in my two colors. I heard the lady who was actually over the small group, I heard her talking about how once she started shading, she didn't want to not shade any of her pieces. And I'm like, I understand that because you once you've seen it with the little shading, then you're like, "Oh man, this would add to this piece, whether it's a door hanger or yard art or um, whatever I happen to be working on at the time. Shading will add so much to this piece or, you know, add depth that you don't get just by coloring it one color. And so you start looking for how can I add shading? I'm running out of my ochre color here. Let me get a little more and we'll get this finished out. And then what we'll do is we will start with the center because what I've got to do first, I'm going to paint the center black. All right. Sometimes when I'm doing my shading, I don't know if it's the amount of paint in the brush, but I find myself having to it's like it doesn't want to stick well or something. And that's probably just something that I haven't quite gotten down pat with my shading rhythm. But the more you do, more practice you have, more you can work out those little things. Now, even though this one will have stenciling on it, I'm thinking very seriously about making this piece um, part of the Broken Pieces collection, which is where I add shattered glass and resin to the piece. And then when I sell the piece, a percentage of the sales that I make on those pieces, whoa, Sandy. Yep, I had my brush turned the wrong way. Okay. Baby wipe, baby wipe. A portion of the sales from the Broken Pieces collection goes to one of three organizations in my local area that help families. And so I was excited that last year I sold four of the Broken Pieces collection and was able to send those proceeds to one of the organizations that uh, works with families and with children. And so I'm excited this year to see what pieces. I usually put these pieces out during the fall festivals. And so I have a couple of pieces ready, and I haven't really um, shared a whole lot about them uh, on the pages or on the site, just because I primarily put those out in the fall. Gives me the year to kind of work on them because they do take a little bit of work with the dealing with the resin and the glass. And I enjoy working with the resin and the glass. It really, really makes the pieces look interesting, and so I have a good time. It's relaxing to me, which most all of this is when I get every now and then I'll get a piece that I'm just like, okay, maybe I got in way over my head, and it may not be that quote unquote relaxing at first. But that's with any hobby or any project that you do. You may start out thinking, oh, yeah, this is great. And then you hit a point and you're like, okay, what was I thinking? All right, so for this, I'm going to grab a different brush and I am going to paint the middle black. Y'all don't make fun if it's not a perfect circle. Y'all know I have trouble with circles. That's why I use sponge pouncers, but I don't have a sponge pouncer this big, so that would be a massive sponge pouncer. I mean massive. I should have put a circle on this whenever we were cutting it out, but I did not. I wasn't thinking that far ahead. Okay, so I'm gonna finish up the black here and give it just a second to dry. I'm not gonna worry about putting two coats on this because part of this is gonna end up covered up with the stencil. And I'm gonna show you the stencil in just a second. You could also do, I've done a sunflower with polka dots, so do polka dots. These sunflowers, this piece is only 12 inches, I think. I think I had this one cut 12. This would be real cute on a plate stand, just like it is, um, just sitting on a shelf or even on your kitchen cabinet. So that would be really cool. Okay, so I'm going to get a little spot here in the flat part of my egg carton, and I'm going to use, this is khaki tan, and this is what I'm going to use for my uh, for stenciling the center part. Let's see if I can get this to stay up here without falling down. All right, so I'm gonna let my sunflowers sit there just for a second. I'm gonna talk about the stencil. I bought this little stencil here a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh well, you know, maybe it'll fit. And um, I held it up to it a while ago, and I was like, yes, I did good. I didn't take measurements whenever I started working on this whole idea and project and the event last weekend and all. So I just kind of guessed on the stencil size, and I, you know, one of those deals where I guessed correctly. So see if I can fan this just a little bit, speed up the process just a little. I've taken up all the plugins in my little outlet, and so I can't use I can't use my little dryer that I have. So I'll just have to hand fan. Okay, I think that's close enough. I'm just going to lay this down and be really careful. Actually, I need to move it just a fuzz. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to use a sponge pouncer. You could use a makeup sponge, but I'm going to use a sponge pouncer because that's what I have handy. So all I'm doing is I'm dipping in my paint, and then I'm going to take and wipe off the excess on the side. Okay. So I don't want a whole ton of paint left on my sponge pouncer. Now from here, I'm going to hold this down carefully on the edge, and I'm just going to lightly tap. And the reason I'm going to lightly tap is that I don't want to put a ton of paint down. Otherwise, it's going to end up going underneath the stencil. Now, when I get toward the edge, I've got to be really careful and kind of watch, because which a baby wipe will, save the. Now, you can come back in a few minutes after it's had a little bit of time to dry. You can come back and you can put down another coat on top. May have still had a little too much right there. I'm just going to be light about it. Try not to pull it so that I end up with paint under my stencil. So if you have a lot of paint on your pouncer, or if you're just pound, 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 you're going to end up moving that stencil so that it ends up going underneath it. So yes, my stencil is lifting up a little bit. But what I'm hoping is that I have managed to do this with a light enough touch that I can come back and do another round here in just a minute. And get it evened out where I like it. Now, like I said, around the edges, I'm just being very gentle and trying to make sure I stay within my circle. I'm also trying to make sure that I just go down and not straight up. I kind of peel up. So that way, I'm going to have to switch sides here. See if I can. I'll move this a little further that way. So I'll have a little more space. Now I got to try to hold on to this and not get paint all over me. It would not be the first time. I'm one of those people that I end up with paint. And I don't even know how I get paint on me. I'll have paint on me afterwards and be like, well, how did that even get there? I wasn't even close to that. Another nice thing about wiping your pouncer off on the edge, number one, the paint starts to go back down into the area where you have it puddled, but also you can, oh goodness, I wasn't paying attention to my edge there. I'll have to do a cleanup on aisle 5. But that's okay. That's why we have baby wipes. And this is also why we have liner brushes, so that way we can carefully cover any boo-boos if we have any. So it's entirely up to you if you want to try to go back and darken up the area. I'm having to be careful because I'm afraid I'm pushing paint underneath my stencil now. All I'm trying to, oh goodness, careful, Sandy, careful. All I'm trying to do is just darken up a few places that I feel like need just a little more paint. And again, a liner brush, and you could fill in some of the little spaces and smooth it out. I do that with my polka dots. Okay, now let's see how this turns out. So I'm going to hold one corner down, carefully lift. Ta-da! Now, I do have a baby wipe handy, and so I'm going to do a quick little cleanup around the edge where I got some on the yellow. And again, if it sits long enough that you can't get it off with a baby wipe, you can always do quick touch up with the yellow. Just with a liner pen or a very small, not a liner pen, a liner brush. I'm so sorry. Oh, I have a piece of white. How did you get in there? Oh, now I'm gonna mess up my stencil. That's okay. We can fix it. This is why I said baby wipes and liner brushes or small round brushes. Either way, they are our friends. Okay, so there is the center. Now you can look at this one of two ways. You can look at it in a pattern that way, or you can turn it and have the pattern go, let's see, that way or that way. So I kind of like it going that way, almost like diamonds, sort of. Okay, now I am going to get a liner brush, and what I'm going to do is I am going, where's my really, okay, there's one. I am going to use the dark, the dark ochre, and I'm also going to use a little bit of white. So I'm not going to put too much, but just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, you know what? I want one even, yeah, there we go. I'm getting a very, very small liner brush here. So I'm going to take the white first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out from each one of these, or from the center, and go through each one of my petals. And I'm just going to make my instructor for this small group called them petal wrinkles. I thought that was so cute. So all I'm doing is I'm just making 3 lines off each petal. And I'm starting with the white. And you may be thinking, oh my goodness, you're just putting those? Well, all I'm doing is just starting from the center, and I'm just going one up the middle, and one to the left, and one to the right. And no, they do not have to be perfect. One can be longer than the other one can be fatter than the other one. One thing that painting, uh, the lesson I have learned over and over and over again is that you have to let go of the thought that it has to be perfect. And I once heard it said that the Amish purposely put a flaw in everything they make so that it serves as a reminder that there is only one who is perfect. And just FYI, that's not any human beings on this planet. So they purposely put in a flaw, a mistake, to remind people that God the Creator is the only perfect being. And so I remind myself of that every time I start to panic over some kind of crazy mistake I've made. I'm like, hey, you're not perfect. In no way, shape, or form are you perfect. Why would you produce a perfect painting? Why would you produce a perfect door hanger? I'm not. So you know what? That just took a ton of pressure off myself. But I do still have to remind myself very often. Well, hey, Miss Terry. I didn't even. I've been focusing on my stenciling, and I didn't notice you had posted. Hey, I hope you've had a good week. All right, I got one more that I'm going to do the white lines on. And then I'm going to come back with my darker color and I'm going to add a little more to my lines here. You thought the time was 9:45 Central. That would be 10:45 for me. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm glad you didn't miss me either. I'm glad I didn't miss you. All good. All right, so I'm gonna see. This may not be a big enough. Nope, nope, nope. All right. So what I'm doing now, because this is going to be kind of small, I'm actually going to take the handle end and do this. All I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of dots with the darker color to the end of each one of these little white wrinkles, as our instructor called them. So see there? I just added little dots. So I'm just going to go all the way around and I'm going to add these little dots just on and above each one of these little white lines. And I could actually add them, I could actually take white and add white dots even around the outside of the center where I have stenciled. I could do that as well. I could come back and outline the whole sunflower in black, outline the edges with a black paint pen or with um, black paint. But I'll be real honest with you, there have been times that that I have done shading and then come back and outlined, and I almost regret outlining with the black. While it does give it that extra bit of definition, um, I feel like it takes away from the shading, and so I'm looking at this going, "Oh, part of me wants to do the outline," and then part of me is going, "Don't. You're don't do the outline. Just leave it be." So this may be one of those that I sleep on the outline part and see what I think in the morning. Okay. Oh, I like my sunflower, and I like the stenciling in the middle, even though I do have a couple of boo-boos I need to replace. Okay, so I'll show you what I did right there on each one of the little wrinkles. I uh, I just added some little of the um, ochre color dots. Okay, so now what I think I may do, I'm going to, let's see what happened to my baby wipe. It's buried under here somewhere. Oh, there you are. Okay, I'm going to clean off the tip end of this. What I think I'm going to do, I'm going to do that with the white. I'm just going to go around and just put some little dots right around the edge. And no, they're not going to be perfectly spaced, and they're not going to all be the same size. I saw where one lady added these little dots along her stencil marks. It was so cool. I really liked the look she had because she had all different well, not all different colors, but like she had yellow, and she may have taken the darker color and used the ochre color. Oop, went too far out. Try that again. That dot and that dot. Sometimes I get used to having done this with a paint pen. And when I do it with a paint pen, I don't have to go back and dip in paint. I just keep going. And I forget about that sometimes. It's not a paint pen, Sandy. You got to put paint back on it. But what the one lady did watching, she did in the center some dots. And I thought that was just the neatest look. She really added to that. Of course, if um, I'm really thinking about making this into part of the Broken Pieces collection, and so if I do, I'll be putting glass and resin on it, shattered glass and resin, and so I I wanna leave some room for me to be creative with the glass pieces, so that way I don't have to cover up, what I painted. So, what I'll probably do in this particular case is add, if I do end up making this part of the Broken Pieces collection, I'll probably put black glass uh, in the center, and it'll fill in between. So paint pen makes us lazy sometimes. Yes, it does. Hi, Christy. How are you this evening? Thanks for dropping in and checking out my sunflower. Let's see. Add some dots where the lines meet. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah. I think I'm gonna wait before I add any more dots though. Number 1, I need the paint from the stencil to dry well, and then there are a few little places I need to touch up, so I'll probably come back tomorrow and do touch up on that. You finished yours after you got home. You went a little crazy. Oh my goodness. That's funny. Well, I actually got my cutout a little later, so I didn't get to do my cutout along with Miss Pam, and so I'm doing mine tonight, but I went back and watched her, session, and so, I went back and did mine tonight, and I didn't even have the stencil that Tamara had because she ran out of them, and so I just bought a little stencil, off of Amazon, and it was a pack of 2, and it was the closest thing I could find, so that's what I went with, but I've had a lot of fun with this. I've never used stencils on anything. I've used the sponge pouncers, and so I've made, tons of polka dots on things, and, of course, I've done stripes with the tape and buffalo plaid with the baby wipes and tape and all that good stuff, and so, I've done all those different things, but this is the first time I've done, um with a stencil, so this was kinda new to me, and I do have a little bit of touch up to do, but, that's a live and learn kinda thing. I did get just a little bit well, I don't think I got under the stencil, I think what it is I just didn't complete, uh, getting enough paint in that area on the stencil, so but I may come back and put some polka dots where they join. That's a good idea, Terry, I like that, and so I may do that. If I add and we were kinda talking about that a little bit, uh, amongst some of the ones adding this would have been a really cool piece to do the shattered glass and resin on, and so that's what I'm thinking about doing for this, uh, is adding the shattered glass and resin like, uh, what was done on the pumpkin, so I may do that on this one as well, but, for the moment, I'm just gonna let that one sit like it is. I'm gonna come back and do a little bit of touch up on some of my pattern in the middle and get it all my perfectionism's kicking in, get it all straightened up, and then um, I may add polka dots here in the little where they meet, like you were talking about, Terry, there's little squares right here, and so I may add a polka dot there. I don't know if I'll do white or if I might do the bright yellow, that might be pretty cool to, um to come back and put just bright yellow, which is the base color of this sunflower on these little squares. But yeah, the OCD's kicking in. I need to straighten up the squares because they don't look square. Y'all don't look too close. But I had a really good time at the live and getting to learn different things. I was showing off some of the stuff like this earlier that I finally got finished. I actually did it 3D, and so these pieces are cut separate, and I painted them last week. So I showed this off earlier where I got it attached and put on the candlestick and the dowel. So I was like, I was very proud to get this piece put together finally. And then, of course, I showed off the clipboard and the napkin art. That was something new. I had never done napkin art before, and so that was interesting to me. So now I'm like, okay, where are the spare pieces of wood, and can I put a napkin on it? So, oh goodness, but that was a lot of fun. All the different crafty things that I don't know, I guess I just don't think about, and if I see somebody do it, I'm like, I don't know if I'd like that." But then when you sign up for something like the Dallas live event, then, it's like, you're there, you gotta do it, you know? It's either that or you just sit around and watch everybody else, and you're not gonna do that because everybody else is, working on a project. You want a project too. So you get out there and do some things you haven't tried before. So Let's see, I orange accents and dots. Oh, cool. Instead you used orange instead of, the ochre? Ooh, I bet that looked good. Oh, you'll have to send me a picture. Message me a picture or post it here in the comments after we get through, and, I'd like to see that with the orange accents and dots. I bet that's pretty. I bet that's really pretty. I hadn't thought about orange. I just followed Miss Pam's color list. So, I like watching her. She has a lot of really cool stuff that she does, and I enjoy watching her paint and getting to watch some of her techniques that she does and how she does them. Because even though, that's just like doing the shading or, floating, depending upon which color you're doing, whether it's a lighter color or darker color. But, getting to watch different ones and how they do that technique is really neat to me because you just gain more and more information. Yes, Miss Pam is the best. She is the best. And I enjoyed watching, being in her class and getting to watch her do her thing because she is really good at what she does. And I admire her for the stencils. I've watched her do stencils, and I've never tried a stencil, but after tonight, I'm like, yeah, I need to work on my stencil technique. So I may be doing some more sunflowers. Those may be giveaways in the near future. So if you see a bunch of giveaways on my page, I'm giving away sunflowers. Oh, goodness. Well, thank y'all for hanging out with me this evening. I hope y'all have a great week. I am going to be working on, gosh, what's on the list for this week? I've got some tumblers and some t-shirts, and oh, I'm going to go ahead and get a jump on some more fall and adding in some Christmas door hangers this week. So I'm going to be working on several things this week for that. So I'm excited. It's so funny because we are in July, and I know the whole Christmas in July thing, but when you're sweating half to death and the heat index is in the triple digits, you're just like, it's a little hard to get the whole jingle bell thing going on. So, oh, good, you just our picture of the sunflower. Fantastic. I can't wait to go look at it. Well, I hope y'all have a wonderful week, like I said, and I will be back week next weekend. My daughter's birthday is next weekend, so we'll see what all. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Your tumblers are beautiful. I have had a lot of fun making tumblers and T-shirts. Sublimation is not something that I thought I would jump into, but I've had a lot of fun with it, and it has been something new that I've added into my shop and items that I do. So it's been a neat little journey as well. I enjoy it just like I enjoy doing my door hangers and other items that I get to make and put out there for other folks to enjoy as well. So and some of them I get to bless people with. I enjoy doing that too. So birthday, Christmas, baby showers, things like that. So well, y'all have a safe week, and I hope wherever you are, if it's up north, I hope you have some cooler temps. And if you are in Florida, God bless you. I hope a cloud comes over and cools your day a little bit, just like I hope those of us here in South Alabama get a little bit of relief and a cool breeze sometime this week. But I'll see y'all probably next weekend. If not, I may swap and do a different day. So y'all have a great one. Thanks so much for watching.